After a bunch of teasers, promotional photos, and after the definitive poster that HBO published yesterday, the official trailer for Season 7 has finally been released a few hours ago. While there are no words to describe this trailer, it completely left me speechless, and in anxiety of waiting for a new season, in this video you will be introduced with detailed, shot-by-shot analysis of the official trailer. There are a lot of details that are not visible at the first glance, details that you might have missed, so without further ado, let's just jump into it. It all starts with Cersei walking through the Red Keep towards the giant map of Westeros with her speech. In her speech with presumably Jaime, she says, "Enemies to the east." While as soon as she says that, we got a shot of Grey Worm, commander of the Unsullied, accompanied with elite warrior eunuchs, meaning that Cersei is clearly referring to Daenerys Targaryen and her 2 armies, along with her 3 giant dragons that will land on Dragonstone on the east coast of Westeros in the first episode of the upcoming season. In the next shot, we can see the table in the chamber of the Painted Table, the main hall in the castle of Dragonstone, which is actually named after the table that dominates the room, carved in shape of Westeros and engraved with its major cities and landmarks. This table we have already seen in the second season, as Stannis Baratheon held meetings with his court in that room and also had intimate relations with Melisandre on that same table. However, shot of the table is also accompanied with Cersei's speech, now saying, "Enemies to the west," referring on the Reach, one of the larger regions of the 7 kingdoms that is ruled from the castle of Highgarden by House Tyrell. As we all know, Cersei almost completely destroyed House Tyrell by blowing up the Great Sept of Baelor, leaving Olenna as the sole survivor of House Tyrell, who is now seeking for revenge, and has back in the Season 6 finale pledged her house to support House Targaryen and Daenerys' claim to the Iron Throne. The following shot most likely provides us the first official look of Euron Greyjoy's infamous longship, Silence, that is most likely sailing towards the fleet battle that will take place in the first episodes of the upcoming season. Yara and Theon, supported by Dany's ally, the Sand Snakes, are going to try to retake the Iron Islands from Euron, and this is most likely a shot taken a few moments before the actual battle starts. Then again, we get a shot of the Painted Table that is again accompanied with Cersei's speech, now saying, "Enemies to the south," referring to the southernmost part of Westeros that is now ruled over by Illyria Sand. Under the leadership of Illyria Sand and the Sand Snakes, the forces of House Martell and Dorne have aligned to support Daenerys' cause against House Lannister, as they declared war against them, while both sides, the Sand Snakes and the Lannisters, are seeking revenge against each other. The Sand Snakes want vengeance for the deaths of various members of House Martell, the death of Oberyn Martell in the first place, while Cersei wants to avenge the death of her daughter. Then for a moment we can see a shot of a person sharpening the sword, while the identity is unknown. This shot refers to the fact that the tensions are high, and that the 7th season will be the season of war, of numerous battles that were developing throughout the previous seasons, but all of them will take place now in the 7th season. Then once again we get to see the Painted Table, still accompanied with Cersei's speech, who is now saying, "Enemies to the north," referring to the United North under the lead of the new King Jon Snow, but also referring to the Vale, as the Vale Lords joined the Northern Lords in declaring Jon Snow the King in the North. The following shot contains Arya Stark mounted on horse, finally heading home, but is most likely still somewhere in the Riverlands. Then we get to see Cersei and Jaime Lannister watching over a dozens of feet long giant map of Westeros, again accompanied with Cersei's speech, "Whatever stands in our way," and then shot switches over to close-up of Cersei's face as Cersei says, "We will defeat it." The next shot contains Lannister army, most probably led by Jaime Lannister, marching towards their enemies. While the certain location on which Lannister army is marching remains unknown, based on leaked photos and on a few facts, they're most probably marching on Highgarden. If you're wondering, why are they going to attack Highgarden, the answer is pretty simple, so let's just put it this way. Beside the most important purpose, beside destroying their enemy and decreasing Daenerys' strength, by conquering Highgarden, Cersei would also conquer important crossroads, a major passage linking Old Town and King's Landing. Beside this fact, the Reach is the most fertile part of Westeros, has rich fields, and was also provisioning food to the capital, something that Cersei lost by killing almost every member of House Tyrell. In the 3rd season, Margaery perhaps even foreshadowed this assault on Highgarden, as she reminded Cersei of the importance of House Tyrell's support in the war, as the Reach provided food to the capital. The following shot is definitely interesting, as it contains a person whose identity is unknown. As we can see, Jaime, the Mountain, and a few Lannister soldiers are protecting the new queen, but the identity of a person that is clearly having a personal meeting with Cersei is unknown, or at least is not certain. However, there are two possibilities. That man is either Randyll Tarly or Euron Greyjoy, as both of them will join their forces with Cersei, will pledge their army to her cause. Randyll Tarly will become Cersei's ally a little bit before Euron. While at first it sounds extremely surprising, as House Tarly of Horn Hill is among the houses that swear fealty to House Tyrell of Highgarden, a fact is that the head of House Tarly, Randyll, has always been loyal towards Lord Paramount of the Reach, but has always despised Tyrell women. Now that all male Tyrells are killed, Olenna Tyrell is left as the sole member and ruler of House Tyrell, along with the fact that Randyll Tarly has always despised Tyrell women. This alliance between Lannisters and the Tarlys, after all, is not that surprising. Randyll would become new Lord Paramount of the Reach, which would place his house among other great houses of the Seven Kingdoms, while Cersei, beside decreasing Daenerys' strength, would ensure the provision of a food to the capital, which is of the great importance in a time of war. This alliance, as it has been confirmed by a bunch of leaked photos, will result with their march on Highgarden and eventually with them conquering it, as it has also been confirmed by a bunch of leaked photos. However, judging by the following shot, judging by Jaime's face, it is most likely the person that is having a meeting with Cersei is Euron Greyjoy. After Euron's plan of marrying and joining Daenerys with his fleet failed, upon his niece and nephew made a deal with Dany, Euron will not give up on his intentions of marrying a queen. While it's confirmed that upon destroying Yara's and the Sand Snake's forces in a fleet battle, he will join forces with Cersei, they most probably won't only be allies, there will be a marriage between those two. You have to know that Euron will not pledge his forces to Cersei in the first part of Season 7, since Euron is known for his cunning skills, meaning that he will be aware of the fact that Cersei will not need him in the very beginning, since she will have her new ally, Tarlys, and her lover and brother Jaime, as a general of Lannister army. It's not that Cersei won't need Euron's forces, not to mention that she needs new allies now more than ever, but she won't at this point be that desperate to accept Euron's army supported with a marriage deal, and Euron knows that. Let's get a little bit further into the official trailer, as it also supports this possibility. A little bit later in the trailer, we get to see the Dothraki, horse-mounted warriors engaging the battle, along with Daenerys riding Drogon. That's a moment in which Jaime with Lannister army along with Randyll and his Tarly army will get ambushed while they are marching home with carriages full of goods loaded from Highgarden. On their way home, they are going to be ambushed by Daenerys riding Drogon along with her Dothraki horde. Cersei will manage to conquer Highgarden and to decrease Daenerys' strength, but Daenerys will not just sit around and watch. Daenerys will take an opportunity to fight them on the open field, while Jaime and Randyll with their armies are heading home and will most certainly win, since no army can stand a chance against the Dothraki on the open field. Robert Baratheon said to Cersei, "Only a fool would meet the Dothraki on an open field," and foreshadowed this battle in the very first season. However, at this point Cersei will be desperate, there are enemies all around her, and her ally will be lost, while her army will not be powerful enough to destroy all of her enemies. That's the moment which Euron will have to take the advantage of, that's his opportunity to marry a queen, and as leak photos are confirming, that's an opportunity which Euron will take the advantage of. That's the moment in which Euron will come to King's Landing after he successfully defeats Yara, along with the Sand Snakes in the fleet battle. Euron will come and parade with his prisoners all the way to the Red Keep, and is going to pledge his army and the Iron Fleet to Cersei, but in return, Cersei will have to marry him, similar deal as he had for Daenerys. Well, we can see in the following shot that Jaime is surprised and convinced that Cersei will reject Euron's offer. The next shot shows Cersei, who is not too happy by this offer. She is considering it for a moment. That's a deal which Cersei will accept, that's a deal which Cersei knows she has to accept, otherwise her reign is over. This Cersei's shot is also accompanied with her speech, now saying, "We are the last Lannisters," which then switches to Tyrion and Cersei continues, "The last ones who count." This reminds us once again that Tyrion is not fighting for the Lannisters anymore, even though he's a Lannister himself. The end of Cersei's speech is also revealing that she was speaking to her brother this whole time, Jaime, as she said, "We are the Lannisters, the last ones who count." After Cersei's speech and numerous shots that mostly included either her or her speech, the trailer switches to another queen, Daenerys with shot of her finally for the first time seeing the place she was born on. Daenerys' speech starts with a close-up of her face while looking on a castle that is entirely dominated by dragon motifs and reliefs. Daenerys says, "I was born to rule the Seven Kingdoms," while she finished the sentence in another 2 shots with, "and I will." The following shot again includes Daenerys, this time sitting on the Iron Throne in the Dragonstone throne room. The next 3 shots are showing the Unsullied conquering the ancestral stronghold of House Lannister that is located on the western coast of Westeros, Casterly Rock, leaving Cersei without an opportunity to seek refuge and run over there once Daenerys decides to attack the King's Landing. This was actually foreshadowed by Daario Naharis in the final episode of the 6th season. Besides revealing his commanding skills and his brilliant strategy mind in his last scene in which he was left behind, he also foreshadowed this Daenerys' conquer over Casterly Rock. Upon Dany's statement that he is not coming with her and her armies, Daario replied with, "New strategy? You want the Second Sons to attack from the west coast to take Casterly Rock so that Lannisters would have nowhere to run." In the following shot, we can see Jon Snow having a meeting with other northern lords and other important people, while in the background we can hear "The King in the North" from the season 6 finale. In the next shot, we can once again see Jon Snow having already mentioned meeting on which they will most probably discuss the fate of the treasonous northern houses, while there also starts Littlefinger's speech. Peter Baelish says to Sansa, "Your father and brothers are gone, yet here you stand." Either reminding her that her father and brothers are gone because of the Lannisters, and yet here she stands without trying to persuade Jon into attacking the Lannisters, or it is just the first part of the sentence as a few moments later he continues his speech. In the following shot, we can see an outer 4-inch thick, cold rolled steel gate opening, which is in my opinion, opening for Bran Stark and Mira Reed, but those are just my thoughts. It could also be Rangers, either returning or are going north of the wall on a ranging. Then we get the shot of Theon Greyjoy, who is on a boat and is most probably in the heat of the battle against Euron Greyjoy. In the next shot, we can see Melisandre watching over someone at Dragonstone. While at a first glance, we would think that Melisandre, upon being exiled from the north, will find a new promised hero in Daenerys, as she is at Dragonstone, we are probably wrong. Melisandre is most likely at Dragonstone, only because of Jon Snow, who will arrive over there in the first episodes of the upcoming season to meet with Daenerys, meaning that she still thinks that Jon is the prince that was promised. It's also important to highlight that those shots of Theon and Melisandre are accompanied with Littlefinger's speech. He says and most likely continues the same sentence that he said to Sansa a few moments ago. He said, "Your father and brothers are gone, yet here you stand." And now continues with, "Last best hope against the coming storm." As Baelish finishes his speech with "the coming storm," we get a shot of the Whites charging towards something or someone. Then we can see Arya probably somewhere in the Riverlands, while her breath implies that the winter truly is here. The following shot includes probably a group of people rather than a Whites, which is supporting a theory that Jon Snow will lead a group of people beyond the wall in order to catch a White and prove Daenerys and everyone else that the real war is in the north. This shot, as well as a shot of Littlefinger, is now accompanied with Davos Seaworth's speech. Davos says, "If we don't put aside our enmities and band together, we will die." Speech that he's most probably giving to Daenerys while he and Jon are having a meeting with her at Dragonstone. Meanwhile, there are also a few shots of the Dothraki that I have already explained, so let's focus on the next shot. Davos Seaworth's speech continues with the next shot of the fleet battle of Yara, Theon and the Sand Snakes against Euron Greyjoy and his 1,000 ships that he started building in the previous season. He continues with, "And then it doesn't matter whose skeleton sits on the Iron Throne," while during his speech we also get to see a close-up shot of him, as well as the shot of Daenerys and Tyrion in the main hall of Castle at Dragonstone. Beside the new look of the Queen's Guard, we can also see Jon Snow throwing Littlefinger against the wall in the crypts of Winterfell, which I'm mostly excited about to find out what exactly led Jon to act as he does in that shot. Then we can see more shots of the Unsullied pouring in the Lannister stronghold and battling against Lannister soldiers. There's also a shot of Arya looking for something beneath a bed, probably for something that she hid a few years ago, meaning that she is most likely home in Winterfell. There's also a little bit of Jorah, to be exact, we can only see his hand, providing us a clear information he has to find a cure for his disease as soon as possible, which he most likely is doing at that particular moment. Then we get to see more Dothraki warriors engaging in the battle, while the following shot is the most exciting shot in the entire trailer. Jon Snow and Tormund are running beyond the wall from the Whites. This is once again confirming that Jon will lead a small group of men beyond the wall in order to capture White, but they will be ambushed by the Night King and his army, as we can see in this shot. The next two shots are revealing intimate relations between Grey Worm and Missandei, and between Yara Greyjoy and Illyria Sand. The last shot includes Daenerys mounted on Drogon, along with her Dothraki horde marching towards the enemy, while the trailer ends with Jon Snow's statement, or more accurately warning, "The Great War is here." And as always, let me know your opinion about all of this in the comment section down below.